Pioneer brand canola with Optimum Gly, the highest yielding glyphosate tolerant trait on the market. What's next in canola happens here.
I'm Lindsay Smith with Real Agriculture, and joining me now is Keith Currie. He's the president of the Canadian Federation of Agriculture. I got it right that time, Keith.
You got it right.
Yeah, every once in a while I don't. Okay, we're going to talk about Bill 293. First, where is this bill at? What does it encompass?
So this is the Emergency Preparedness Act, born basically out of COVID, and the concept of the bill is a really good one around making sure we're ready to go when the next issue, the next pandemic happens. So it's currently at the Senate. What we're hearing is it's likely to be delayed because the Senate has a pile of bills that they're going through. So it may or may not see the light of day depending on when the election when it happens. But we have to be ready for it in case it does go to committee to be able to present to it.
Mm-hmm. Now, within this bill, it is a broad, sweeping bill, of course, because of what it all entails. But within it, there is some language that refers to livestock agriculture, and there's language in there that really sort of goes against livestock agriculture, even realistically being sustained. So walk me through sort of what's in there, how it got to be in there, who's behind this bill.
So our real concern with the bill is Section 4, I believe subphrase 2, I believe is the exact one, or the one, I'm not exactly sure, I can't remember. But essentially it talks about giving an advisory committee some control over a lot of things within agriculture, in particular livestock production. It talks about the use of alternative proteins and phasing out animal proteins. We have a livestock sector that has proven that we're ready for preparedness. If you look at what happened in BSE in 2003, you trace it right back to the bag of feed on the farm. I mean, it's pretty good. You look at how CFA works with the industry during an AI outbreak. It's contained, it's controlled, there's no issues. You even look at where the pork industry in general has worked with the government to keep ASF out. So we do a good job now, and that's not recognized in the bill. And so we're really concerned that we're looking at a sponsor of this bill who has a history of animal activism in particular, authoring this bill, and it's really taken this section has taken a stab at animal agriculture that is just unfair and wrong. So we want to make sure it's very clear if it ever gets to committee that the Senate committee understands this, and that we need changes to this part of the bill.
Now it is at Senate though, so this isn't new per se. This would have gone through the House of Commons. This would have been discussed on the floor. What were those discussions like as far as when industry would have been speaking to MPs and part of the committee ahead of time before this actually passed to the Senate?
I'm not sure that a lot of MPs totally understand the impact on agriculture. They're looking at the bill conceptually, which, as I said off the top, it's not a bad bill conceptually, but I think MPs weren't really understanding the potential impact this could have on agriculture, not only immediately but long term, especially if we're talking about phasing out of traditional protein sources. And so, we need to do a better job of making sure that all the elected and the Senate understand in future bills. But for now, it's passed through the House, so we need to make sure that we are talking with the senators that are going to be involved around the committee, plus all the senators that are going to be voting once it comes out of committee, if it gets to that stage, to help them understand that this is very dangerous for agriculture, that it's very dangerous from a food security aspect. It's also detrimental to the overall climate change adaptation and mitigation protocols that this very government wants to impose. I mean, you eliminate animal proteins, especially beef. I mean, you look at the role that the beef industry plays in climate change mitigation, carbon sequestration. It's phenomenal. It's a great story, and yet we have a member that wants to eliminate that part of the industry. It just doesn't make any sense. So we need to be diligent on this. We've been working with the livestock community just to make sure we're saying the right things and we're saying it all the same way, and we'll just continue to work on it.
So that is one thing I wanted to point out. Certainly the livestock industry groups they're on the same page on this one and are really speaking with one voice in the House for changes to this bill potentially?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, we've been talking with them. We want to make sure that, we certainly have our viewpoints on the bill, but we want to make sure that we're all on the same page that way, so that it's very united. So the industry as a whole goes in and has those discussions with the relative senators right now to make sure that they completely understand that livestock is together on this and why it is we need the changes that we're asking for.
It's not the first time we've seen perhaps a current or former activist member sort of squeak in some language into a bill that really could have huge repercussions. How important is it that our producer groups are involved and keeping tabs on what's happening in the House?
Oh, I think it's something that we have to be doing on a daily basis. A common theme for governments at all levels these days are to produce omnibus bills that, have the intention of going down a road of regulation for this reason, but sneaking little sections in that are totally dysfunctional or not even related to what the concept of the bill is. So it's up to us to make sure our teams are going through the boring routine of looking through many pages of legislative acts to make sure that there's not something that's being captured. Even innocent words, intended to be innocent words, could be misinterpreted by future governments. So we have to make sure that the language is correct as well.
It can be boring, but it's also really important. So we'll focus on the important part.
Oh, absolutely. It's very important. And one of the things that we continue to talk about is just how important the agriculture industry as a whole is to the economics of this country and to the well-being of this country and to the food security of this country. So it's important that we make sure that we do no harm. That really is what everything should be about, is doing no harm. And that's where we are with this bill. Let's do no harm with it.
All right, Keith, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Lindsay.